In a world overflowing with distractions, we seek meaning. How do we transform ambition into something deeper, into true fulfillment? I'm Sam Pepin, CEO of Course Educa, and I've spent years helping businesses succeed by connecting their goals to something bigger. On the Meaningful Podcast, we explore not just how to win in business, but how to grow as individuals. Through conversation with thought leaders, innovators, and everyday heroes, we uncover the stories that drive us towards something greater. Whether you're striving for success, seeking purpose, or just looking for the next steps in your journey, this podcast is your guide to navigating the intersection of ambition, growth, and meaning. So please join me and our incredible guests as we redefine what's possible in both business and life. Enjoy. The road to success is paved with discipline, not motivation. Welcome to the Meaningful Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Pepin, and today we're exploring 3 game-changing themes: overcoming excuses to prioritize fitness, building mental resilience through exercise, and adapting fitness to life challenges. Our guest today is Chad Austin, the founder of The Fitness Pivot, a best-selling author of the Make Fitness a Priority series, and a recognized expert in helping busy professionals integrate sustainable fitness habits into their lives. Chad's journey has been more than just physical transformation. It's about mindset shifts, overcoming obstacles, and understanding that fitness isn't a one-size-fits-all. If you enjoyed this discussion, please let the world know with a like, a small review, or even a quick share. Your support helps more people find meaningful content just like this. Let's begin. Mr. Chad Austin, welcome on the Meaningful Podcast. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me on the show today.
It's lovely to have you here. And we're talking about fitness today. I'm very excited about that. First guest talking about fitness this deeply. And I think it's very important to platform. To kick us off, tell us more about the Fitness Pivot, please.
Yeah, the Fitness Pivot is kind of really an evolution of me evolving as a trainer and as a person. You know, I've been in fitness for about 20 years now. And, you know, my journey started at a 24-hour fitness, or like a lot of fitness professionals do. I was there for many years and trained a lot of people there, as you do in a big gym. And I think I learned the first tough lesson that, you know, short-term motivation leads to short-term results. And everyone's got a goal coming up that they start with that gets you to come in the door. But I want to make a bigger impact in that. I want my impact with my clients to last long after my time was over. And so I have a book series, Make Fitness a Priority, that probably come up sometime in our conversation. It always does, but it's about long-term success. And the Fitness Pivot is really an extension of that, knowing that even though you can find yourself, you know, become a really fitness enthusiast. You can buy in when you're on a fitness journey and it can really change your life, but you're still not immune to life's obstacles. Life's obstacles and changes are what cause us to fall off track with our fitness plan. And when changes happen in life, we're really good at adapting to it when it comes to our family, our career, our faith, the things that we deem most important to us. But our natural reaction with our health is always that it's the thing we're going to get to later, because we haven't adapted to how it fits differently in our life. And so that is really what the Fitness Pivot is. When fitness no longer fits in our life, so that when plan A no longer fits, how do we pivot to plan B? How do we reassess how fitness fits in our life? And the reason I believe that's so important, and I kind of really dove into this and made it my career and my business theme, is because, you know, when we're taking care of ourselves, we are our best self. So it really doesn't matter what the most important things in our life are. If fitness is not a part of our life too, you won't be able to show up to those things as the best version of yourself. So by learning how to adapt to change and keep fitness a part of your life, you have the ability to show up to life whether things are going good or bad in your life. And that's ultimately what, you know, fitness is supposed to do for all of us.
Beautiful. I love that dearly. And I want to, if we can, take you back to the beginning of all of this, which is always what I love to do with my guests. When you're thinking about how you got into fitness yourself, is there any aha moment, or perhaps any quest that you had in your childhood, in your teens? When did this basically love of fitness start for you in the first place?
Oh, you know, I think I've fallen in love with fitness over and over again in my life, because I think so. It's probably a sign I'm doing the right thing with my career, right? I think if you love what you do, then definitely you're doing the right thing. But I think it started with, for me, it first started with a lot of, it does does with a lot of personal trainers. I was an athlete. I was a, high school at all sports growing up, and then a college wrestler, and then a college coach and PE teacher. And so I was just always gravitated towards competing and sports. And, so definitely my love started for it that way. And a lot of my clients early on were more sports performance. And I've definitely gravitated well past that now. And it's more, my client base is a lot different, but I think a couple years into fitness, I realized that I was always gravitated towards exercise because it was my best medicine. So I had a lot of social anxiety and depression growing up. And it took me a while to kind of realize that was probably what drew me to sports and exercise and athletics in the first place, is because, it was the best medicine. And when you realize that about yourself, it really shines a spotlight on everything you may have been doing that was the wrong medicine. Mm-hmm. And that makes it even more impactful. So I know if I've learned this lesson, I want to help everyone else learn this lesson, that, the Band-Aids they may be using for treatment for themselves that to make them feel better when they don't feel great. There's another medicine out there that could take you to a whole nother level, just learning how to take care of yourself better.
Yes, and actually, I'm sure we're going to talk about these distinctions, bad and good medicine, during this conversations. I want to start us off with your philosophy. Obviously, you believe the power of fitness is a life vehicle, perhaps in the way you explained it. It's more than just basically an exercise. It's a tool to become your best self. Very much reminds me of the Jim Rohn, actually, understanding of the world, which is, take care of your body because it's the only place you can live, right? Tell me more about that philosophy and how basically you use that philosophy to also be a little bit of a groundbreaker from a basically personal training side.
Yeah. So I have a couple talks that my title alludes that, where basically it's like the vehicle that drives us to being the best version of ourselves, meaning fitness. Yes. And that probably stems from just my realizing how much fitness does for me to control things. I know when I take good care of myself, I am a better husband. I'm a better son. I'm a better friend to everyone in my life. I got more creative. I have more energy. I'm better at my job. I handle my stress better. I'm in a better mood. It overflows into all areas of my life, right? It just makes me the best version of myself. But on the flip side of that, if I'm not taking good care of myself and I'm using maybe the wrong approaches to make myself feel better or to show up better, then the opposite is true. I don't have the energy. I don't have the confidence. I don't handle my stress or anxiety very well. It probably elevates it, which then makes me sometimes in a bad mood and then hurts my relationship. So, I'm ultimately the worst version of myself. And so that really is why I think that is proof by itself. I think that fitness is the vehicle that drives everything, because when you're taking good care of yourself, you have the ability to show up as your best self. And we need that so much in life whenever we're handling tough times or going through adversity.
And obviously, you've been training thousands of people. What would you say is the best mindset shift to basically help people shift that mentality of fitness as a chore and obviously choosing it as a vehicle for personal growth? What has been the most impactful way in which you were able to instill this mindset inside your clients and loved ones, perhaps?
Yeah, I think understanding, for one, that your definition of fitness changes, right? And so I was asked once on a podcast as I was done, right? Is this a simple question? Just really stumped me because no one ever asked me before. And it was, what's the definition of fitness? He said, and I had no idea how to answer that. I was just stumped. It's such an easy question, it seems like. But then I realized that, my answer was basically that I refused to answer, because you can't answer for anybody else but yourself. And whatever you said as your answer in the past probably isn't your answer now, because it changes. My definition of fitness when I was, in my 20s, it was all about how I looked and how strong I could get, how lean I could get. And it wasn't until a little bit later that I realized how much fitness is more important to me about how it makes me feel, than how it makes me look. And they're all important, but yeah, but I think, helping people understand that as life changes, our definition of fitness changes. And so if sometimes that question, what's your definition of fitness, it doesn't hit your ears quite right. But another way to say it is, what does fitness mean to you right now? And so my dad, when you've been in fitness for as long as I have, and you get in the same field for a long time, it normally means you get to help a lot of your friends and family. right? And so I've trained most of my friends and family over the years. Probably the one that took the longest to get on board was my dad. And because, and the reason is because when he thought of personal training, he thought of bodybuilding. And he thought that that's what it was. But his definition of fitness is not that at all. His definition of fitness is what helps him be an active grandpa or be able to go through life without pain as someone in his late 70s, and be able to have lots of energy and be able to do all the things that he wants to do as a retired person. And so sometimes our definition of fitness changes, and we have to adapt to that, and we have to kind of redefine it as we go. But I think starting with that, when people get started, that's always something you hear in fitness. You're not picking up where you left off. Your life is much different now, and and things have changed. And so you're starting where you are right now with what fitness means to you right now.
And I believe, obviously, from my research and who you are, that's a little bit of the quest of the fitness pivot, right? It's finding what works for you specifically. You emphasize a lot the fact that fitness isn't a one fit all, and you have a very, very customizable approach basically towards that. And I'm wondering, what are the common misconceptions that people have about obviously fitness itself and what fitness means? And perhaps, like you said, some people, and I so relate to this because my dad has the exact same definition. They think that fitness or going to the gym, for example, it's for bodybuilding, when in reality, 99% of us don't go there for basically competing in any sorts. Tell me more about basically some of the most common misconceptions, and how do you help people overcome basically these obstacles with this more personalized model?
Yeah, I think there's two that are that stand out the most. The one that we kind of just started to talk about is that, fitness means something different for everybody. Fitness is not one size fits all. What worked for someone else isn't necessarily going to work for you. And what worked for you in the past isn't necessarily going to work for you now, no matter what your goals are. But, our fitness is different for everybody. So like with my dad's case, it's not bodybuilding for him. It's about being able to live pain free and live like do all his daily activities and everything that he wants to do without pain and with lots of energy and with fun. But for other people, it may be completely different. But understanding what your definition of fitness is, that's an important lesson. I think the other misconception is that doing less. Sometimes that's the tough time we have when we're trying to get started. It's like, we have a tough time doing less than we did before. Like we already have a bar set in our mind of what fitness is supposed to look like for us because of the last time we had great results. And doing anything less than that is almost like we're not doing enough. And we have to get rid of that way of thinking, because doing less does not make something less of a priority. All it means is it fits differently in our life right now. And that's a hard obstacle for people to overcome when they're trying to get started with something. And that's a lot of the reason why we put fitness off till later. So like, we don't have enough time right now. I'll have to get to it later. We do have enough time, just not the way you think it has to be done. But fitness looks different for everybody, and it looks different for you as your life changes. So just understanding that there's no guideline, there's no rule that you have to do for fitness. Fitness can be anything at once. It just does it help you show up as your best self.
And to me, fitness, there's so much component of it that can relate to other areas of life. Like you said, this understanding of, it starts with your definition of what fitness is. Just like any business, any outcome really that you're trying to achieve. Like, for example, let's take financial freedom. That's a little bit of the same concept, where that number might be drastically different for me, for you, for anyone within our audience. So starting with definition of basically what fitness is. And I suppose when you have that definitions, what do you typically do you keep it basically in your head? Do you ask your client to write it down? What are some of the strategy basically that they can fully being embodied and fully being basically inspired perhaps by their definition and their goals as well? Do you have found that basically other ways to, again, either write it down or putting on a whiteboard? That online trainer does that a lot. Is that something you recommend as well doing?
Yeah. So really understanding what your definition is, that's just the very, very start, where you get the first question you ask yourself, right? But whenever I have a new client, or whether a client is kind of starting a new phase of fitness, I have a cleanse and reset approach with people. And so the first part of the cleanse is, so this is a cleanse for your mind. And that's one of the reasons I had a couple of really good questions. I'm like, everyone needs to answer these questions. How do I get them to do that? I'm like, well, everyone loves doing a cleanse right now. I'll just call it that. And so that's kind of how it became that. But this is a cleanse for your mind, to rid your mind of things that are no longer serving you right now, and the toxic way of thinking, and to refresh it, replace it with the thinking that fits you right now. So it starts with, what's your definition of fitness? What's fitness mean to you right now? But then you got to dive deeper. So then it's why. Your why fuel. Everyone knows about your why fuel, but you have to, the deeper you dig on why something is important to you is always beneficial, because there's going to be times when it's not easy. It's going to be times when you don't want to make the sacrifices, or when you don't want to, not do some of the things you're restricting at the time. You have to remember why you're doing it. So digging deeper, and our answer is always vague at first. So if we first ask a client a question, a lot of times if it's weight loss, I want to lose weight, that's way too vague. And dig deeper. Why do you want to lose, or why? Be more specific. And so they might give you a number then, so you have more of a specific number like you would hear on a SMART goal. But you have to keep getting deeper into the why this is important to you. And then you might get to a question like, well, when losing weight's important to me because I want to be part of the group in the picture, and not the person taking the picture because I don't want to be in the picture. So that's digging a little bit deeper. That's a pretty powerful thing, right? And so it's first, what is your definition of fitness? What's fitness mean to you right now? Why? Dig deeper some more. And then the third part is, how will your life be different if you do this? If you follow through with this, if you make this your why, if you make this your new definition of fitness, how will your life change? And so that is when the vision board and writing it on the wall stuff comes on, because you're painting a picture of your future, how your life can be different if you make fitness a priority in your life.
100%, and very well said, by the way. That example, I think, is very powerful. You're talking a lot about how fitness can help us overcome life's curveballs, to use your language. Obviously, the overcoming life curveball through fitness, which I always thought was a fantastic way to do so. But I really want to pick your mind on this, as obviously you're a trainer and you've seen this across so many people. But obviously, life gets in the way, right? Injuries, work, stress, family responsibilities. But fitness can be truly a anchor that keeps you strong through it all, and perhaps keeps your mental and physical sanity as well. How can basically people, and how you help people, use fitness as a tool to navigate basically unexpected challenges in life? What's your best insights on that?
Yeah, I think making fitness a priority in your life and keeping it one as life changes, it's a practice. It's something that we need a lot of reps on to keep getting better. Like we're naturally good at that kind of thing when it comes to our family, our career, right? So if curveballs come into your day, your month, or your week, you're still going to show up for your family. So if your kid has a game going on, if your spouse has a big and important event, she needs to be there for support. You're not going to miss it. If you have a deadline coming up for work, no matter what happens, you're going to get that done still. It's still a priority. But when it comes to fitness, a lot of things can derail us. We have obstacles come up all the time. So like my first book was Make Fitness a Priority, How to Win the Fight Against Your Excuses. And I think of an excuse really as just an obstacle we haven't overcome yet, right? And so I'm an avid obstacle racer, just because I think it translates so much with what I do all the time. We all face obstacles every single day. And when we come up against an obstacle, basically we have two choices. Either we can overcome the obstacle, or we can let the obstacle overcome us. It comes back to the fitness saying you hear sometimes, that find a way, not an excuse. So there's always a way. There's also always an excuse. But I think making fitness a part of your life, understanding that, learning how to do that, how to still get your workout in no matter what. I'm still going to stick to my intentions. I'm still, even though this has changed, that learning over and over again how to still make that happen and accomplish that, it just feeds over the rest of your life. It translates into everything else you do in life. So whenever obstacles show up, you can handle it better because you're practiced at it.
I always love this quote by, I think it's Robert Schuller. It says, tough times don't last, but tough people do. Right.
Yeah.
It makes you a tougher person, not only, again, physically, perhaps more able, but there's and I want to also ask you this question more formally. there's such, in my opinion, and in pretty any basically practice session that I respect. There's this understanding of interconnectedness through your body and mind. And it's something that I think is super key for people to understand. Even in their definition of fitness, fitness can be, for example, I want to be XYZ weight at XYZ body fats, or I want to bench basically this much. Maybe you're more of a kind of competitive type of person, athlete type of guy. But when you're thinking about some of the mental milestones and the interconnectedness basically with your physical goals, is that also something you apply in your basically teaching as kind of like a more holistic type of understanding of what fitness is? Or tell me how important the mind is within this process.
Yeah, it's really important. So my second book was a 6-week workbook, 6 weeks to get out of your own way. And every week we have basically, I have training. There's a motivational message every week to start to kind of your theme for the week, but then there's 3 trainings, basically mindset, nutrition, training. And that's kind of the approach I take with all my clients too, mindset, nutrition, training. And in the book, I mean, you always say like nutrition is the most important, whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to gain muscle, whatever it is, nutrition, it starts there, right? But every week starts in the book with mindset. It's like you have to, the mindset is the most important part. There's a lot of ways you could look at it that way, because it starts with the right mindset. And so I think a lot of times when clients start a new fitness goal or they're starting one for the first time with me, a lot of times as a personal trainer, you meet a lot of people that they're coming to you as almost like a Hail Mary. They've already tried and failed many times on their own to reach their goals. And in their back of their mind, they failed so many times on their own. They may be thinking, well, I'm going to give this a shot, but it probably won't work because nothing else has. And if that's your way of thinking going into something, then you're not going to be successful. Right. So you first have, there's a quote on our wall at my last studio that said that you have the power to change your story. And so that means a lot. That means your story, whether your story is that, you always eventually fall off track, that you can't get fitness to stay in your life, or it could be the story you're telling yourself. It could be your story as far as what your history tells us, our track history, or it could be the story that you're telling yourself. And so we first have to rewrite that story. We have to, just because something didn't work in the past doesn't mean it can't work in the future. The past doesn't predict the future. But we first have to reframe that all thoughts can be relearned and all behaviors can be relearned as well. But it takes putting in the work and first visualizing success. And, there's a lot of things that go into that, because that's hard. If you have a tradition of losing, it's almost like a sports team that has a tradition of winning. It's like once it gets to the end of the game, it's like everyone knows this is going to happen. Before it happens, everyone knows they're going to win. Everyone knows they're going to come back. I'm a Chiefs fan here, so I was trying not to say it, but yes, we know when Patrick Mahomes gets the ball in his hands, like the last 2 minutes of the game, that we're down by 2.
It's a touchdown.
Probably going to win that game, right? It's almost inevitable. I think his career percentage is like 80%, but it's like everyone. I think it's something powerful when not only the team knows it, but everyone in the stand knows it. Everyone watching at home knows you have this tradition of winning. But the same thing can be the case if you have a tradition of losing, a tradition of failure. So it's tough to overcome that. It takes a lot of mental work to reframe those thoughts and reframe those actions, but it can be done. I think it starts with, celebrating every win, celebrating every milestone, making sure you're around people who are going to celebrate with you and not dismiss things that you do, and just keep stacking wins along the way. And eventually you can relearn all those thoughts, and you won't have that feeling that you're going to eventually fall off track anymore, because really you will change your identity. I am a fitness person now. I work out. I don't skip my workout. Everything can change. You just have to put it into work.
Yes. And it's one of the most powerful way to look at it, in my opinion, is that motivation is typically what gets you started, but habits is what keeps you basically going. And I don't remember the author of such quotes, but it's one that always marked me, because one thing that always surprised me, and maybe you can enlighten me, Chad, is we have all these productivity books. We have more people than ever talking about any topics, actually, of any sort, specifically the positive ones, or how to overcome negative ones to perhaps achieve a positive outcomes. And yet what we're seeing is a conclusion which is very hard, very, very, very far from a broader picture than, let's say, a few decades ago, specifically from a health perspective, specifically in North America, which I'm sure you will agree with me. When you're thinking about what it takes to turn that motivation to a habit in a way in which not only makes sense, but in a way that is sustainable, but also in a way in which more people can pick up these good habits of not only seeing fitness as a tool to being a better person, but also to do so in such a recurring fashions that it becomes part of who they are. You just said something very powerful. It was Tony Robbins last time I checked that says, I am a fitness person, right? I am not one of them. I am a fitness person. Becomes an identity, basically, statement, which is the highest form of any self-actualizations. How can we need more people to get there? What do you see a route forward towards a future where, let's say, 80% of people perhaps have this mindset and get to a point in their life where they have it all together?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is making it your identity. A big part of it is getting off what I call the inconsistency roller coaster. And I think a lot of us find ourselves on this roller coaster sometimes where fitness just becomes part of our life in spurts, but we just can't get it to stick. And it starts with what we talked about earlier in the interview, with that a life change happens. Whether it's good or bad, a life change happens. So it could be good or bad. Example could be you get married, or it could be you get divorced. Could be you get promoted at work, and so your hours change. Could be you get fired. Could be your job becomes more travel. Maybe it gets where you're more sedentary. Maybe you decide to start having a family, so you have kids, or maybe your kids leave and go to college. So all these things are major changes, some good, some bad, depending on how you look at it. But they are things we're naturally adapting to when it comes to our family, our career, our faith, and things. But with our health, we end up in a place where fitness is not a part of our life, right? And the longer we're in this place where fitness is not a part of our life, the farther we get from being the best version of ourselves, and the deeper our desire gets to look and feel better. And that makes us easy prey for all the instant gratification promises out there. So like at the beginning of the year, it comes in full force, all the promises of fast results with little or no work on your part. All the, you can get results without even changing the way you eat or even working out that hard kind of promises. And it's all an illusion. It's all fake. It's all just where they're praying. When you want results so bad, even the smartest person's judgment can be clouded. And so, just don't be shaming yourself right now if you're someone listening and you've gone through this. All of us have. I have fallen for everything. That's how I've learned my lesson, and I know better. But the golden rule is what you do for fitness has to fit in your life. If it doesn't fit, it won't be there very long. So we have to adapt to how it fits and be okay with fitness fitting in our life differently. Because otherwise, if we just try something, because we're promised it's an easy path, it's gonna change our lives and take us out of this pain that we're in faster, but it doesn't really fit in your life. You can force something to fit for a while if it doesn't fit, but it's gonna hurt the balance of your life. It may hurt your family, may hurt your job, may hurt other things because it doesn't really fit. And eventually, what doesn't fit will be gone. And so and then you find yourself right back where you started, where fitness is not a part of your life again. And you're going through the whole cycle again. It's the best to just the best way we can stop this from happening and keep people where fitness is a part of your life more frequently and it doesn't fall off as long is just teaching people how to adapt to change when it comes to how fitness fits in your life, and just being okay with it fitting differently from time to time. And getting that way you get the most out of it. It's still part of your life.
Yeah, make it easy to keep and hard to take out, for sure. Is one thing that we recommend, not only with nutrition but with everything in life. Perhaps we're creatures of low-hanging fruits, of the lowest efforts. If you just listen to your body and the little voice in your mind, try to protect yourself. Perhaps some people call it ego or something like that. You're gonna find yourself sleeping longer, not basically in the bed, not trying to get up to go for that morning run, whatever it is. So make it easy to achieve and make it tangible. Perhaps is what I found to be the most basically effective for me specifically. In Chan, what that is interesting about you, and this is kind of like a kind of a comment on the industry itself, which I think is shifting the right way, is writing. Right, so you have 3 books now to your name, and writing is basically there's a lot of coaches, a lot of physical and trainers that has been writing books, but it's typically seen as more of an intellectual, basically, endeavors to write books. But more and more people within your niche now write books, write programs, try to basically duplicate themselves through those means as well. Tell me more, is for you specifically, What is your how easy or hard was it to basically put your knowledge, something that you know personally, into a writing form? Did you enjoy that process? And tell me more about basically your personal approach and journey into being a multi-author now.
Actually, I think it started just kind of working on myself, professional development, working on my speaking. And, my wife always says I'm a speaker who writes, and so it's more about the speaking. But I joined Toastmasters to start work on my public speaking, which was also working on a fear of mine. Like when I first left 24-hour fitness and started my own business way back in 2010. And so I started, but all of my speeches, of course, were about fitness, and the common theme came about, long-term fitness. And I was kind of going through a change and realizing the bigger impact I would make on people is helping get longer term success. So their results last long after my time with them is over, and not just focusing on the short-term goal that got him to come in the door, but helping him look past that, but I think that the first book, I knew it was going to be, about long-term fitness, but I wasn't really sure exactly how it was going to work in a book. And so I started with the poll question, and my poll question was, what are your top priorities in life? And I asked as many people as I could this question. And the top answers I got were, family, career, faith. Like I've been saying in some of my answers, family, career, faith, those were the most important things. But what really taught me something was that, over 100 people took this poll, and a lot of them knew. The personal trainer sent this poll to them. Still, nobody said health and fitness. What are your top priorities in life? Nobody said health and fitness. And so it's like the last thing in our head that we care about when we think about the most important things in our life. And that's, and it makes sense the more you think about it, just because some of the things that we said is like that when life changes happen, what we adapt to, the first thing we care about but you have to be able to shift in your mind. You have to understand the importance of fitness and realizing that it is what holds everything together. It is what drives everything as far as what's important to you. If you won't be able to show up as the best version of yourself, if you don't take care of yourself. And so that started the book series. So Make Fitness a Priority was my first book. Make Fitness a Priority, How to Win the Fight Against Your Excuses. And then I was a 6-week workbook follow up with. And then my third book, we actually wrote over COVID, being another trainer. It was just 30 tips. And so just with the idea of, you try to consume too much at once, you're going to take in nothing. So it's just to take one tip at a time throughout the book. But yeah, the writing, it just really it definitely made me a better trainer, and it helped me. I was a better speaker. But yeah, it's for me, it was a pretty easy transition, but it just kind of started with working on myself, trying to become better for my clients and for everybody. And then it just kind of overflowed onto the paper, I guess.
And that's fantastic. Truly. And I was able to just see a preview of that first book, Make Fitness a Priority. And what would you say for you specifically as the writer of these books, what would you say is the biggest lesson you hope your audience the readers take away from it? Was it basically when you're in the writing process, do you basically always keep that in mind when I try to basically insert into my reader's head? Or tell me more about the angle in which you took from more of a I suppose takeaway psychological standpoint.
Yeah. There's so many lessons. I think there's a couple that stand out to me, are just that, understand. Not everyone loves to work out, and that's okay. Some people probably do. And I think even the people that do, though, they don't always love to work out. There's going to be periods of time where you don't want to. And the only way to make it stick really is understand why you're doing it and what's important. And the reason is, so what your top priorities in life are, you have this deep reason why all those are priorities. And so the understanding the reason why fitness is a priority and how it helps you show up as the best version of yourself is a really important lesson in the book. But then also understanding that, nothing about it is simple. Nothing about it is easy. Making fitness a priority is hard for everybody, and that's why we have to work at it. There's no body out there, no personal trainer, no fitness influencer that's out there that it comes easy to, no matter how much they try to make it seem like it in their highlight reels they share online. It's hard for everybody because nobody is immune to life's obstacles and life's adversity that throw us off track. So it really takes a lot of work to understand your why why fitness is part of it. But just knowing that it's not about being perfect. You're not going to be perfect. That's an impossible bar to set for yourself. You're going to make mistakes. And so but just like you do with your family, your career, your job, everything else, understanding how to learn from your mistakes, how to understand how to get back on track. And I mean, that applies in fitness as well. And so it's a lifelong learning process, but the whole point is, if it's a priority, if I understand the importance, then I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep getting better at it, and it's going to be who I am.
It doesn't become easier; you become better, right? I heard a speech by Michael Phelps when he won his last gold medal. Was it his 12th, something just crazy, ridiculous, obviously swimmer. And again, I might be wrong by the number. Don't quote me on this. But he was saying basically, there's somebody that asked him, "Hey, how are you so goddamn good? What's how are you the greatest swimmer of all time?" And he said, "Well, look, we all have days where we don't want to do the work. We all have days where I didn't want to wake up at 6 a.m. and go to the gym or go working out and do that 3 times a day for pretty much 6 days a week for 10 years. It's consistency was built greatness, and you hear that from all champions. When you hear about Cristiano Ronaldo, when you hear about obviously Djokovic and Nadal in tennis, when you hear about Kobe Bryant, which was very vocal about this, that it's always they say the exact same thing, right? I was in earlier, I was out later. I outwork basically everybody. And there's some natural talents as well. Let's not dismiss that. But there's still this ability to understand that at the very, very top of any quest will be people working their absolute hardest. And if you don't go that extra mile, somebody else will beat you. And you're an athlete. I'm an athlete. Played out of the national scene as a soccer player. And that's the reality. Is there a sacrifice, and you'll need to do the hard work. Sometimes you won't want to do it, but you need to. And that's very, very, that's such a key portion of this. When you're thinking about training people, and this is something that I never trained people from that angle. So that's something I was always intrigued by. When you're training somebody that has this competitive nature, this kind of like going above and beyond, and I want to be great, compared to somebody that might be having a more, let's say, how can I say that, moderate perhaps understanding of what fitness is. How different it is, and perhaps do you have a very, very different approach for both of these? Tell me more about what the difference between handling somebody that, hey, I will try to bench my 1 rep max basically every 2 workouts to increase it, compared to somebody like, for example, maybe your dad, which is much more, hey, let's treat fitness as a way to just live better. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the approach is the same. I love what you said about the athletes and everything. When I love whenever it comes up a really good athlete, like a documentary about them, because there is no one they're just good and that's it. Every single one that's the best athletes in the world. When you hear their story, it's about how hard they worked. Whenever I do a like transformation, a testimonial about my business, I never share before and after pictures. And the reason I don't is because I think they're just so misleading, because we just see the 2 sides, but what we don't see is everything that happened in the middle. All the hard work, all the adversity, that is true of any big success story, whether it be in fitness or sports or anything. There's always about putting in the work. And so I think that in the lesson we can learn from those people, and we get to see documentaries about them, is that they fell in love with the process. Their identity became the process, the work in the middle. All the work in the middle, that became who they were. There's someone that, and so I think no matter what your goal is, and whether you're a weightlifter or you're trying to lose weight, or if your goal is range motion, mobility, it always starts with your why, right? Why is this important to you? And your vision of, this is how my life will change if I do it. So that's why I do it. But falling in love with the process, falling in love with the steps, and celebrating every win along the way, knowing that, there's going to be good days and bad days. Like Michael Phelps said, we get confused sometimes, and we think it's going to be a straight line from the beginning to your goal. Oh, yeah. And it's not, right? It never is. There's always going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back, all the way there. And just learning how to overcome and learning how to bounce back on track every time you have a bad day, every time you fail, and taking a good day for all its work. If you feel good, if you feel empowered, you feel strong that day, get everything you can out of it. Show up, be your A game. But being able to have the ability and to keep getting better at doing your best on the days you don't want to be there. That is I think that it sounds kind of funny to say, but anyone that's gone through it knows. I mean, that those are the empowering days. The days when you're doing your workout. I didn't want to do this. I didn't feel like it. I still did it. That those are the things that really catapult you forward. And I think getting people just to fall in love with the process. And I think as longer you stick with it, the more you're going to really love the process.
Yes. And do you think is the main mistake that people make, this understanding that basically life and success is linear, and if I fail today, I won't succeed basically tomorrow? I had a great first mentor when I was 17. And he told me, Sam, the path to greatness has failures basically within it. It's not two paths. It's not the failure path or the success path. That doesn't exist. But it's the same goddamn road, but you just need to be able to go over the bumps to actually achieve greatness on the other side of that road. And do you think that's the main mistake people makes, is just starting with this understanding that, hey, let me take this 2-week program that tells me that I will be 10% body fat, or let me basically go to the gym for a week, and if I don't see anything, it's just not for me. Do you think it's the biggest mistake people make?
Oh, it's taught to us, right? It's taught to us that it's, just the phrase, there's so many like 6-week programs out there, and, I have a couple, and it's, if you're thinking that 6 weeks is all you need, and it's just going to be it, you don't ever look past it, then then that's part of the problem right there, right? And everything we're taught, with all the numbers, like just think of the phrase, the 21 days to build a habit. It clearly takes way longer than 21 days to build a habit, right? Yeah. And whoever came up with that was clearly they were toying with, they were playing towards our impatience. It's like 21 days is not very long. While you're going through it, it may feel like a long time, but in the grand picture, when you look at it, it's 21 days is not very long at all. But we hear something like that, and we're taught to believe that, we're going to do 21 days, and then on 23 days, we'll go on autopilot, and then we'll be good. And that's not how it works, right? You have to keep stacking days. And we're taught with that. We're taught that with New Year's resolutions. We're taught there that it's that you just, we're also taught with New Year's resolutions, I guess, that we're eventually going to fail, right? And that's a bad thing. Like that's not inevitable or something. It's like 21 days to build a habit. That phrase, it alludes that we're going to get results that fast, but it also alludes that you have to be perfect. It's just saying 21 days, 21 perfect days, 21 days without mistake. And that's not how it works either. There's going to be mistakes. It's like New Year's resolutions. Everyone hates them and doesn't want to do them now because all we know about them is negative. All we know about is the negative fail stories that, the second Friday in January every year. I didn't learn that till recently. It's a national holiday that's called National Quitters Day. It's like it's all about us quitting and the inevitability of it, and it makes it sound like, okay, well, now it's past, it's National Quitters Day, so now we might as well, it's over, we'll wait till next year and try again. And that's not how it works. There's going to be days you fail. There's going to be days you miss a workout. There's going to be days you didn't plan ahead with your food, or something happened, so you had to eat something that wasn't on your plan, or you succumb to temptation or something with your meal plan. You're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. Doesn't end your journey. Doesn't end your fitness journey. Doesn't define you. What defines you is how you respond, how you get back on track, how you recover after a bad day. Yeah,
exactly. How you bounce back, right? Rocky said it best. I won't comment again because everybody does, but that's right. And bouncing back is so important. One thing that I also think is super important is because of social media, because of these outside pressures, a lot of people are comparing what I call the chapter 1 with somebody else, chapter 46. All right. Their fourth book. They come in basically on Instagram. They went to the gym for 2 weeks and they watch basically people like, I don't know, Chris Bumstead that wins. That's obviously Mr. Olympia. What do you think the side effects, and psychologically speaking, do you think that social media and this overarching basically pressure to compare yourself, not that you must do, but you're basically enticed to do such things. Do you think that has a negative connotations? And what's the best way basically to shut down that ego voice in your mind to just keep consistent at it and understand that perhaps one day if you keep at it, you'll get to whatever your objective is. But again, it won't take 21 days to have you're not a robot. All right. It won't take probably years. But if you put the work, you have the ability to do so. Do you think that plays a big component in the modern world?
Yeah. Everyone knows comparison's the thief of all joy, right? That everyone knows that by heart. And you've never compared yourself to anything and not lost joy in it. It felt better about it. It doesn't happen. But yeah, the comparison part, it's with social media. That is one challenge that with social media and just, reality television and, the Bachelor series there's always a couple episodes where they're in swimsuits and these people have been training to look their best for, this period of time and they're displaying it to us on TV like this is just who they are all the time. And we get that all the time with movies and shows and everything. And it's, it can be hard on everybody because it seems like that should be the standard. And that's not even real what we're looking at. Right. But so I have a hoodie that I love as my favorite hoodie that my wife keeps trying to get rid of, but it just says fitness is not about being better than someone else. It's about being better than you were yesterday. Right. Mm-hmm. So fitness is not about being better than anyone else. It's about being better than you were yesterday. And I mean, that's really a hard thing for us to grasp. It sounds simple, but that is how we have to be thinking. We have to be thinking of our own improvements. I have my hoodie, the second better on the sentence has 3 T's in it. That's misspelled on the hoodie. And I didn't notice it till I wore it a couple of times because you don't notice it. You just think your eyes are playing, but it makes me love it even more. It just kind of drives home the point. There's nothing about this that means you have to be perfect. It's just about keeping progress, keeping improving, and celebrating your wins along the way. But yeah, it's the comparison can kill us all. It kills the joy, it kills everything, and we have to kind of talk ourselves off the ledge sometimes at knowing that we're seeing other people's highlight reel. We're seeing every single one of these celebrities we see in movies, every one we see in these reality shows we're getting their highlight reel. There are times when they don't want to work out. There are times when they skip their workout. There are times when they fail. They fail all the time. Everyone does. No one's perfect. Everyone fails at this. It's hard for everybody, but it's the practice of getting back on track when you do fail. It's a practice of showing up as your best when you feel good and just still showing up when you don't feel good. But it's too bad we don't have more comparison. The thing I love is when people are honest with their post. They show like they're without makeup, or they show when they're out of shape, or when they've gained weight in between roles, things like that. That should be more what we see more often. I love it when actors and athletes do that, but it doesn't happen that often.
Yes. And one thing that is very key though, on the other side of the comparison medal, is just how important the community and accountability as well is in fitness. And you talk about this quite often, this understanding that if you can have a network of people that keeps you accountable, and I mean by a network, it might be your wife, you might be anyone, right? You might count them on one end, or you might want to count them on basically as thousands or even millions of people from an online platform, for example. But I'm really interested in your understanding and perhaps your thoughts on this understanding that alone you go fast, but together we go far. All right. This understanding of find the trainers that you really love on a personal level that can help you achieve your dreams. Find a nutritionist perhaps that can help you get that diet basically suited to who you are and your objectives. Tell me more about how important it is to find that accountability circle, as I like to call it, when it comes to making fitness a priority.
Yeah, it's a very important, I don't know who it was, Jim Rohn probably said that we are the 5 people, we are the average of the 5 people we surround ourselves with. I'm pretty sure That is Jim Rohn.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, but, I don't mean to say you need to get rid of the 5 people, the people you're closest to, if they don't fit they don't want to go along with your fitness journey, but you need to be able to surround yourself with, people who are on the same mission as you. And so, this is, there's sometimes when it comes to that, we have almost a thought in our head sometimes that shows weakness. Like, I don't need any help. I could do this on myself. And I mean, no one can do this completely by themselves, and no one should. So I'd like to invite everyone right now, that if you're on your fitness journey, that join my fitness community, be a part of it. So at thefitnesspivot.com, that's my website, thefitnesspivot.com. There'll be buttons on the front page to join our community. We have accountability groups every month where it's just free groups you can come into, and we're just simply help you stack days and celebrate wins with you. But it's like everyone picks 3 to 5 habits every month that they want to, build. Good habits that they want to do better, and they'll pick 1 to 2 habits that they want to get rid of that maybe aren't doing them any favors. So it's kind of the whole stop, start, continue thing. And you can jump in any month that you want to. It's a platform. We have fitness professionals come on and give talks all the time. We have workouts and tips and things like that. It's a good resource for you. But the point is, you don't have to do this by yourself, and no one should. And you want people, when you're on a fitness journey, especially if you're at the beginning of one right now, it can seem like a long way to the finish line. And if you're just focusing on that, it's hard enough by itself. But if you're focusing on that and the people that are around you are dismissing all the progress you're making, you may not make it. And so you need to be able to be with people who are going to celebrate every win with you, not dismiss them, and support you whenever you're having a tough day. And that support group can be powerful. So like I said, you can join ours, the Fitness Pivot. We'd love to have you be a part of it and to be in a welcoming group that's going to encourage you along the way. But if you don't have one, find a workout partner, find a gym that some of your friends go to that are on the same mission as you, and surround yourself with those people that are on the same mission of you. It's going to help this journey be so much easier.
Yes, 100%. And that accountability circle is something that applies to any areas of your life, to fitness, to financial wellness, to anything you have in mind. There's people that can help you out there doing it better, and try to basically step on your ego a little bit. And I'm talking for myself as well here. We very often think that we can do it all ourselves. And you know what? Maybe you could, but why do so when it will take 4 times the times, and just make sure that you'll just feel miserable basically doing such things instead of enjoying it during the process. That is so key to anything that you want to achieve in life. And truly, Chad, something that I never got a great answer for. Most of our audiences are busy professionals, right? So decision makers and people basically within a C-suite executive role. When you're thinking about, if you had 15 to 30 minutes every single day, because a lot of people, and I'm sure you get this often, hey, I don't have an hour to work out, so I just don't know where to start, I just don't know what to do. If you have 15 to 30 minutes basically a day, and you have to plan some type of a workout for somebody that's, say, in his late 40s, early 50s, what have you seen as the most perhaps prolific and the most effective vehicles to get a good workout in? You get some mental clarity in, you get your lymphatic system a little bit hotter, you sweat a little bit. What would be the best bet if you had to just name one or a few, perhaps?
Yeah, well, and there is multiple. So that's something I couldn't answer for everybody blanket, because fitness is not one size fits all. And so that is a problem. That is a red flag you have to look out for when you're looking for programs to start with. Because if everyone doing the program is doing the exact same thing and they don't customize to you at all, it's not going to work. It's got to be customized to you specifically. So if everyone's doing the exact same thing, it doesn't take into account your fitness goals. It doesn't take into account your fitness history. It doesn't take into account your fitness level you're at right now. The amount of stress in your life from work, your schedule, your busy schedule, doesn't take any of that into fact, then it's not customized to you. So just because it worked for someone else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And so there's lots of the kind of answer for that kind of changes depending on what your goals are. But the main thing, knowing that if you're a busy person, that's one thing I have developed as a strength for sure, is helping busy people figure out how fitness fits in their life. Because that is the I'm too busy obstacle is the hardest obstacle for us to overcome. And then that is when it gets to be the worst, we're putting fitness off until later, because life is busy And so, and we're still thinking of how we have a picture of how fitness needs to fit. We don't have time for that right now, then we might as well not even try it. And we have to get rid of that way of thinking. Just because it's less, if you're doing less, it doesn't make it less of a priority to you. All it means is it fits differently. And so that's what I would encourage everyone. If you're finding yourself where you can't get past that I'm too busy excuse. I have 20 minutes, that's 3 days a week. That's plenty of time to get something done and to move the needle forward. And so whether it be walking for 20 minutes, whether it be doing push-ups and body weight exercises at your desk, whether it be taking a quick trip to the gym, or maybe you got 20, 30 minutes before you get in the shower in the morning and it's a high intensity interval training workout, or whatever it is, 20 minutes is enough. I mean, if that's how it fits in your life, then that's not how it needs to be there right now. And it comes, and just because that's how it fits in your life doesn't mean it's going to fit that way forever. Your life's going to change again in the future. And, just like the best athletes in the world, they go in seasons, their amount of work, their volume of work, their intensity of work changes throughout their season. Sometimes they're in the off season, sometimes they're in season, sometimes they're, in playoffs, and so everything changes. And so it's okay for that to be the case for you as well. If you only have 20 minutes right now, just make the most of that 20 minutes. How does it best fit? And go from there.
Yeah, no, and I love this answer, and obviously starting with what you can start with is probably the best way to do so. Whatever it is, moving even slightly is better than not moving. That's for sure. Obviously done properly. But one thing that is interesting to me as I see it in my own fitness basically journey that perhaps becomes a lifestyle is when you start small. When you're talking, there's this inner voice that tells you, "Oh no, we're too busy today. Let's not go to the gym." When you actually get to the gym and you think that 10, 15 minutes, most of the time what I found is, and maybe it's just because of my competitive nature, but that 15 minutes become 30. That 30 becomes 45, an hour, and so on. It grows on you because you feel so good. All right, that's the bottom line. When you're training, and maybe, and I see a lot of people basically telling me this, and maybe you can pick up that as a questions. I see so many people tell me, Sam, I don't like to work out, but I like how workout make me feels, right? There's a big differentiation between the two. And I always tell them, well, maybe you want to find another way to work out and just get the same benefits while enjoying it. But there's also the other side, which is, look, if it works for you and it's basically aiming at your goal, maybe letting it work out for you is less significant in the results. And that's understandable as well. But when you're thinking about this paradox, or perhaps it's just the positions of loving to work out compared to loving its feels and how it helps me in my objectives. What's the best way to break through these barriers of basically starting small today in the perhaps the essence or the belief and the objective of putting on top of that for something a bit more sustainable and lifestyles like?
Yeah. Well, first, just knowing that, we'd all like to be in that workout zone year round, right? Where you love your workout, you're empowered by them. You can't wait till the next one. I mean, I'll hit that maybe 4 months out of the year, it would be broke up. We'd love to stay in that workout zone where you love it for a long time, but it just comes and goes. And so when it comes to energy, so there are four main pillars of energy just to get a base, is move. So if you're being a very sedentary person, then just starting to be a little more active, that's why a lot of times, like you said, that 5 minutes turns into 10, turns into 15, turns into longer, because moving gives you energy. So, I mean, that's one of the bases of energies is moving, eating healthier, cutting out some of your processed foods and fast food, getting better sleep, staying hydrated. So those four things, it always starts with that. If you have no energy or too tired to work out, starts with those four things. It's almost, that's like the base you have to do. But after that, there's lots of, I just did a talk about fitness motivational hacks. So when you're not in that workout zone, how do I get more motivation to work out? And one of them that I think that people overlook is it could just be that you're bored. If you're someone that we're creatures of habit, and we tend to fall in love with one routine and then never change it. I remember growing up, my dad he had these brown these old brown sand weights, these old home things that he used. He had like 8 different exercises that he did with those. And then he did his jog. That was basically, he called down to the corner and back. It was like about a mile and a half down there. And then that was what he did for forever. And I don't know how he did it, because most people, I think, couldn't do that. Most people, after a while, it's just going to get too monotonous. It's going to get boring. It's going to be less exciting because it's boring. And so sometimes just changing that and changing stuff up is going to make it more exciting. So there's so many ways you can change your workout. So in fitness, we have the FIT principle, which is a frequency, intensity, type, time. So those 4 variables are things you can change. So the frequency, you can change how often you work out. You can change, from an hour to maybe 20 minutes. So you could change, from instead of heavy weights to lighter weights with more reps. You can change the variables. And so instead of free weights, now you're using cables or barbells or body weight exercises, or maybe you're doing less resistance training, more cardio, or vice versa. Or maybe you're going to start doing some fitness classes instead of just working out on your own, or working out with a partner. There's so many ways that you can change your workout, and that could make it more exciting. So that's one thing I would think. Sometimes if I don't want to work out, I don't feel like working out right now, could be your workout's just not exciting. So maybe changing something up a little bit. Maybe your workout's just gotten boring because you've been doing it for too long and you need to change some things.
There's always this argument in which people, and I see a lot of trainers saying this, that, well, you need to actually keep your workout somewhat basically similar for basically to see consistent growth and be able to have some type of a before pictures, basically to see your growth, for example, let's say strength wise. Do you agree with that, or perhaps how much flexibility, somebody can allow themselves within this cycle, perhaps of the boring phase, to change some of their variables and perhaps spice it up?
Yeah. Well, sometimes being able to see progress, that gives you energy too. And so if you are doing the same thing, so a lot of times like Bigger, Faster, Stronger, that was one I used when I was strength conditioning. They had like a 5-week cycle. So every fifth week, you're doing the same thing you did 4 weeks ago. And so you could, your reps and the weight you use and everything will be sitting right next to it when you log it on your paper. So you can see I've gotten stronger than I was. And so sometimes just being able to see results, being able to see improvement can give us, it's a boost as well. So you can do the same. If you're just, and that's it'd be harder if it was like my dad, where he was doing the same thing, but it was the exact same workout every time he worked out. If you're following a program and, you're doing, like this one, it was broken up, and where it was like push day, pull day, agility day, so it was a different workout every day. But then the sets and reps and stuff changed on a little cycle as well. So you end up doing the same big program, but it's big. And so it wasn't like you're doing the exact same thing every day. You're doing the exact same thing like every 3 weeks, and it changes just a little bit every time. And so there is something to it, being able to keep it the same so that you can see down the road, the last time I did this, I only did it this much weight, or only did this many reps. This time I did this. And so you can see improvement. But yeah, so you just need to have enough stuff in there so it doesn't seem like it's the same every time. And some people can do the exact same thing and it doesn't affect them. But that was one thing. If you are getting bored with it, there's maybe just some little changes that you could make that would make it more exciting. But yes, like I can eat the same thing for breakfast every single day, knowing that it's just this is fuel. But a lot of people couldn't. So it just depends on your person a little bit too.
Beautiful. Well, I love it. Small daily improvements are the key to staggering long-term results. Mr. Chad Austin, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the Meaningful Podcast. Thank you so much for sharing some of your insights and for a conversation that I think will help many, many, many people. And I would love if you could share some last words of wisdom with our audience, please.
Yeah. So if you're trying to get started right now, then go to the fitness pivot. That was the first thing I'd ask for you to do. If you need motivation, if you're struggling with staying consistent, join our community. It's the best thing you can do is surround yourself some other people that are going to help you. I have lots of programs out there, like we talked about in the interview, the Cleanse and Reset program to help you redefine what fitness means to you right now. My goal with my clients really, like I said, I want to make an impact long after after my time with them is over. I have a phrase I've adopted that I call the fitness fisherman. And so that basically it's taking the saying from the fish. You know, you give someone a fish, you feed them for a day. If you teach someone to fish, you feed them for the rest of their lives. I think a fitness fisherman is someone who has learned how to keep fitness a priority in their life, no matter what happens, no matter what life's obstacles or curveballs throw at you. You're able to show up to your life, whether it's going good or bad, as the best version of yourself. So thefitnesspivot.com, I'd love to turn you into a fitness fisherman, but at least join our community so you don't have to do this by yourself.
Thank you for spending your time with us today on the Meaningful Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review or share it with someone who could benefit from it. And always remember, your story matters. Make it meaningful. We hope to see you next time.